New Zealand had to leave out Ewan Chatfield because of the hairline fracture in his thumb. Willie Watson makes his debut. And England had a problem this morning because Derek Pringle pulled out. Peter Willey had already come into the side to take the place of John Embury, who has a broken nose. So there's a slightly unusual look about the England side there. New Zealand almost at full strength, but I have a feeling they'll miss the experience of Chatfield. We pick up play now after England won the toss and decided to bat with the last ball of Richard Hadley's first over. Taking strike is Graham Gooch. So far, no runs on the board.
Oh, beautifully bowled, beautifully bowled. And the frustration of the fast bowler. You can't bowl a better ball than that. And you see potentially dangerous batsmen at the top end find the edge and away it slips. We have a marvellous contrast each end. Hadley to Gooch, and then the novices, the debutantes, Watson to Moxon. Oh, and what a lovely way to get off the mark. First test match, reaching into a half volley, and how well he played it. Nothing fortuitous about that. Just watching how he bends that front knee, gets right into the shot. That's a perfect start to a test match career for Martin Moxon. And again, it's Hadley to Gooch. Not a confident stroke, but it's along the ground this time. Not unlike the ball which Graham Gooch sent flashing shoulder high through the slips in Hadley's first over. A bit more pressure now on Martin Moxon. He's had the luxury of a few overs against Willie Watson, but now he knows all about Richard Hadley from his Yorkshire experiences. Well, that was a nasty one, and Richard Hadley still can beat people for pace off that short run.
And Martin Moxon, finding out immediately, faces Hadley what test match batting's about.
Beautifully bowled. And that's the one that's well up, and you see Martin Moxon driven back by that first one, the short one, now reluctant to come right forward, looking to play on the back foot. And now Hadley to Gooch. Oh, that's out. Gooch is gone, and Hadley gets his reward. He had Graham Gooch dropped at slip in the first over, and now in his fifth over, Graham Gooch is beautifully held behind the stumps by Ian Smith, and Hadley appreciates that.
And Hadley striking early again. Graham Gooch not quite getting fully forward to that ball, and a little edge through to Smith. And Hadley already on the warpath.
Bill Athy's sixth test match. And the attacking field. Crowd around as Hadley comes in, bowls to Athy. Very lucky outside edge, and it's the luck you need as a batsman. What a fine piece of bowling. It was fast, beautiful line, the batsman had to play. And that could have gone anywhere.
And another let-off for the batsman. Bill Athy lucky to get away with that one. And Richard Hadley really on song now. This is a great examination of the England players' technique. And Athy failing there. And the catch just not going to hand again.
Delightful shot from Bill Athy. Man in form, played so well in that limited overs game up at Old Trafford the other day. They've batted together on many occasions, these two young players, and they've just brought up the half-century for England. Here's Jeremy Coney. Delightful stroke. Nicely placed by Athey. What good placement. Just split those two men at mid-off and extra cover.
Martin Crowe is coming into the attack from the pavilion end.
Splendid stroke. Good tester for Bill Athey, and he responded magnificently. He's taken his helmet off.
Well, Jeremy Coney, a casualty. We saw Mike Gatty in trouble with the intercostals, the left side, and it looks as if the New Zealand skipper now has caught a dose of the same thing. Big shout. Can't believe it.
Well, Moxon's saviour here is that he's thrust that pad well down the wicket. Now, he would have done well to go through with that leg. He rather withdrew it.
And the New Zealand skipper, Jeremy Coney, is in fact going off. Well, that's bad news for New Zealand. Just holding that left arm up there.
And Jeremy Coney, in fact, didn't come back before lunch. 9 runs were added up to the interval, 96 for 1. Nice innings from Moxon. Good partnership between Martin Moxon and Bill Athey. 35 to Moxon and 41 to Athey. And the New Zealand bowling dominated by Richard Hadlee. Looks expensive there, but my word, there were a lot of balls found the edge or went past it. It was a very, very impressive display of pace bowling. We pick up play now with the last ball of the first over after the luncheon interval. 3 runs have been added, and John Bracewell is the bowler. He's coming into bowl to Bill Athey. Beautifully timed and superbly placed by Bill Athey. 100 comes up, just an easy 3 runs for Bill Athey. Just the longest pass to the ground. 44 to Athey, 38 to Moxon, and 102 for 1. Nice start for England after they lost Gooch with a total of 27.
So it's Richard Hadlee coming into Bill Athey.
Oh, and beautifully bowled. What a ball to get. First ball after lunch from Hadlee. Magnificent piece of bowling. Jeff Crowe, the catcher. I think we'll find when we have a look at that on a replay that Athey did most things right. It was just that the ball was too good. Found the outside edge and was taken by Jeff Crowe at slip. And I think Crowe, in taking that catch, has damaged a finger. More problems for New Zealand. They already have Jeremy Coney, the skipper, off the field. Ewan Chatfield couldn't play in this match because of a broken thumb. And now Jeff Crowe is nursing the finger after taking that catch. David Gower, the new batsman. That's tragic, first of all, for Athey, then for England, and perhaps also for Jeff Crowe in New Zealand if there's severe damage to that finger. You have John Wright as captaining the side in the absence of Jeremy Coney. Coney, we think, has damaged a muscle in his side. They're working on him at the moment. There's been no complete diagnosis so far.
David Gower won't be very happy with this stroke.
Here's John Bracewell. Two men injured for New Zealand, Coney and Jeff Crow, and almost another one.
Interesting use of the helmet here. Bonk. The wrong gentleman wearing the helmet. Straight drive from Gower. Half stop by the bowler. Where's the ball gone? Oh! Martin Crowe back into the attack.
Oh, so easy. It was in the air, but very well controlled by David Gower. If you just look at the tempo of this pull shot, he doesn't rush into it, he just waits and waits and waits. And again. Classical demonstrations. So New Zealand having to think their way very carefully through this afternoon session, minus Jeremy Coney, captain and bowler, and Jeff Crow, first slip specialist. And that's a fine shot. And that takes Martin Moxon on to 49. And that's it. A very fine half century by Martin Moxon in his first Test match innings. And that must give him great pleasure. Meanwhile, David Gower, who is 21 not out, faces Martin Crowe. Oops, Chauncey. What a contrast between that shot and the strokes that David Gower played before, in the over before, off Bracewell. Evan Gray is the man who sort of wonders if he might have got a hand to it. I'm not sure if David Gower does deserve the applause he's getting.
Well, absolute repeat shot of the one before.
Oh. He launched himself into that.
So a real straight bat swing here. Just punched on the onside of the wicket. There's so many runs through there if you can just find that gap. Martin Moxon's found it perfectly, moves to 56.
Lovely day here at Lord's. Some of the MCC members basking in the sunshine.
More work now for Willie Watson, the young seam bowler, playing his first Test match. Well, that broke a spell of what would have been 4 consecutive maidens had that ball been a dot in the scorebook. It's the second fulsome drive, straight drive from Martin Moxon. Willie Watson just over pitching.
So again, Martin Moxon's found that spot through mid-on.
That's quite a confident shout there. Martin Moxon playing across his front pad.
Yes, as Martin Moxon has started to get a little more confident, he's tended to play this ball through mid-wicket more and more.
Here we played the shot absolutely under control. This proves that contrary nature of David Gower, who's edged a few, and now with beautiful footwork gets down the pitch, times it straight over mid-on. Almost no effort, just timing. Gower's 50, and the bat is better. So we ought to see a change of bowling at the nursery end. And instead of Bracewell trying to bowl his off spin up the hill, as we say, this is Evan Gray. Left arm spinner, just get that little assistance from the slope. Gray comes back a little rusty. First ball, middle of the afternoon, no sort of line, and he runs into Martin Moxon, who's in prime form.
Perhaps now he wishes the captain hadn't had this bright little idea to bring him on just for tea. Gets the first one hit for 4. And so crumbs, I've got 5 more to bowl now.
4 more added to take it up to 195 for 2 at tea, and those 2 sessions have definitely gone England's way. Gooch out for 18 and Athey for 44, Hadley taking both wickets. Moxon, a very fine innings, 74 not out, and David Gower finding his touch towards the end and unbeaten on 50. The bowling figures for New Zealand: Hadley has both wickets. Bracewell bowled pretty well, although he's had the 50 taken from 20 overs. No great amount of spin there, either for Bracewell in his 20 overs, nor for Gray in the 1 over he bowled up to the interval. Well, very much England's way, those first 2 sessions. New Zealand, if they want to make a mark on the game, needed to strike very quickly after the tea interval. Well, the man to do it for them would be Richard Hadley, and here he is now bowling the second ball of the second over. Taking strike is Martin Moxon.
Fairly optimistic shout this from Hadley. Moxon, as he's done very often today, getting well forward. It's a very brave umpire that gives decisions out with the batsman that far forward.
He's out this time. The only thing umpire Whitehead would have had to decide there would be if the ball was low enough to hit the bails. A beautiful ball by Richard Hadley.
And Hadley breaks through again. Great piece of bowling. Forces Moxon back. Hits him just above the knee, and he's on his way. But Martin Moxon will be happy with that Test match debut. A lot of players are just happy to get off the mark, but he's made 74 excellent runs. Richard Hadley's got a wicket in each of his 3 spells. He dismissed Athey straight after lunch. And this time Martin Moxon's the man to go. Trapped LBW.
Now for Mike Gatting. Richard Hadley has 3 slips in the gully. Not far off. That was going down the leg side, but only missed by an inch or 2. A bit of extra pace from Richard Hadley. No doubt about that. 4 to Hadley. The bail has gone way, way, way down the field. The England captain goes back. 2 against his name, and once again that was a delightful piece of bowling by Richard Hadley.
There may not be much bounce in this Lord's wicket, but it's a great piece of bowling by Hadley to Gatting. He kept jagging the ball into him, and that time he broke right through. But hit him on the pads many times before this, and this one just creeping through and hitting the top of the middle stump.
Peter Willey is the new batsman. Had to come back from the West Indies to have a knee operation. Now Hadley has all 4 wickets. .200 up for England. It's been tough going since tea. They've lost 2 wickets for just 5 runs, and Hadley's been at them for the full 40 minutes.
Evan Gray coming into Peter Willey.
Fairly races away. Goes down the slope to the boundary just near the tavern. It's very unusual in style, but that opening up of the stance allows him a great deal of freedom for play on the offside. Bruce was coming in from the pavilion end this time. He should turn the ball a little more.
That shot you're seeing is from mid-wicket, and when Peter Willey gets into his stance, you'd be thinking the bowler was coming from that area, not from 90 degrees in the other direction.
That he can play along the orthodox lines. Sweet cover drive.
That's a super shot.
And when Peter Willey hits it, stays hit. Right over the top of that, and all the power of those forearms into it.
And Peter Willey gets in good position for that stroke. Nice swing of the bat.
So Evan Gray from the nursery end now to David Gower. Just makes it over the top. I don't think he'd be very happy with that. Scraped over mid-wicket, but it's 4 runs to Gower, so he moves on into the 60s, 62 not out. 236 for 4.
Oh, what a good catch. You wouldn't say it was the greatest ball John Bracewell has bowled in his career, and Gower has punched it away, and that could mean trouble for England because it's only moments before the taking of the second new ball. Exactly the thing David Gower didn't want to happen, that a wicket should go at that point.
Yes, a really short, weak ball, and David suddenly thought, oh, I really should punch this away. Ball hadn't quite come through to him, and he's just lofted it.
New batsman is Philippe Edmonds. And there's David Gower from another angle.
Well, that was a marvellous piece of fielding. It's the sort of fielding that makes huge differences in Test cricket.
Willie Watson is to come in from the nursery end. New ball taken. Edmonds has got that away nicely. Now it's Hadley with the second new ball, with 3 slips and a gully, and Willey to take strike. the one where Peter Willey will have most trouble, the ball leaving him rather than coming in. In fact, Hadley posed problems for all the batsmen, not just for Peter Willey, and Willey did very well to be 27 not out at the close of play. After that ball, there were 2 overs and 1 run to take it up to 248 for 5. Very fine performance from Martin Moxon, 74, 62 to Gower, and Hadley 4 for 53 from 25 overs and 8 maidens. Bracewell the other wicket at a cost of 65, 26 overs and 8 maidens for him. A very good performance from Bracewell, shot I'm afraid, and there were a few spots of rain which brought frowns to the foreheads, not only of the players but the administrators and treasurers as well. Play got away on time though. We pick it up now with the 5th ball of the 2nd over. 3 runs have been added. Richard Hadley is the bowler and Peter Willey is taking straight. The outfield has been slowed a little by the overnight rain. Third man goes down now. This is Edmonds now. Well, that was just about unplayable, I reckon. One gone. 5 wickets for Hadley once again. 26 times. And the 6th time against England. And he's bowled quite superbly this morning. Edmonds was good enough to get the edge of the bat onto that, which was no mean feat, I can tell you.
Again, the perfect line, and Edmonds has tried to get forward. He's got his weight forward. But the ball has bounced and it's left him. And Martin Crowe has taken a real slippery little catch there.
Bruce French is the new batsman. 5 for 56. Richard Hadley from 26.1. Oh dear. We've managed to avoid the rain. Now we've got a problem with the light. And it would be bad enough to be facing any bowler in that light. Richard Hadley steaming in at you from pavilion end.
In all, 27 minutes was lost for bad light. It's not really deterred Richard Hadley. 248 for 5 was the overnight score, now 258 for 6.
For the moment, we have a fresh Hadley. Ball still only 12 overs old. Bowling to Bruce French. Well, Bruce French getting in a muddle there. He's taken his eye off the ball. Ball banged in short. Now he's turned his head away. And let's hope it didn't hit him in too painful a spot. Well, it's hit him just above the wrist there, so that's not going to be much fun within a half hour or so, and the bruising starts to take hold.
Oh, that was a nasty one from Bruce French, that is. Interesting, too, that quite dazed that Richard Hadley owes a great deal of his success to Bruce French, who's his keeper at Nottingham. That caught him right at the back of the head, really unsteady on the feet. And I think there's some good advice, sit down, quite dazed. And some blood is going. Poor Bruce French.
So Bruce French turned his head away, and it's given him a real crack on the head. He was quite conscious to start with, and he obviously felt pretty giddy.
That's a very difficult maneuver there. It's hardly the right equipment. I would have thought it would be much more suitable to have a old-fashioned stretcher, the head back. So in comes Graham Dilley. Appeared to bowl even quicker. Really zipped through. Short, rising, and it cracked through the fingers of Ian Smith, the keeper.
Lucky this was going down the leg side as far as Graham Dilley was concerned.
Watson to Willie. Overslips. Just a little bit of luck to Peter Willey there. No luck for Watson. Just cleared slips. And that's it. Well bowled, Willie Watson. First Test match wicket for Willie Watson. It's the reward for steady line and good length, that he's really happy about that.
It took a long time coming, but Watson trapping Peter Willey right in front there, and seemed to cause Peter Willey some pain. That ball crashed into those damaged old knees, but it's a valuable contribution from Peter Willey on his return to the England side.
Well, 20 years old, your first Test wicket, and at Lord's. Neil Foster is England's next man in.
Neil Foster.
Another good shout. Oh, good shot.
Very comprehensive indeed. Willie Watson has picked up 2. Well, if the first one was pleasant, that one will have been sheer delight. 285 for 8, and it would be difficult to say on Foster's behalf that he was really close to the line of the ball there with that front foot. Very airy-fairy.
And he won't have endeared himself to Graham Dilley, who's manfully fended off Richard Hadlee at the other end.
Beautifully timed shot racing away to the boundary at mid-wicket.
Radford. Oh, that'll do nicely, thank you.
Just every now and again, Willie Watson seems to neglect his usual in-swing, and bowl one goes the other way, but it seems to give the batsman a lot of room. And Neil Radford's really swung the bat at that, and there's only one place for it, 4 to the cover boundary by the tavern. He's certainly some workhorse, Hadlee. He opened the bowling at this end, 11 o'clock this morning. Here we are going on 2 o'clock. I know there was an interval, but here he is, still bowling away. 25 overs overnight, now he's into his 12th over today.
And that's the 300 up. There's a no ball called, but also 1 run to Graham Dilley. England 300 now for the loss of 8 wickets. And we've just entered the afternoon session, the second day. Oh, cracking shot.
So Neil Radford moving his right foot across nicely into line and still picking off that half volley through the mid-on area.
That's it. Graham Dilley's out and the bails are off. Umpire Whitehead takes off the bails. It's a 6th wicket to Richard Hadlee. Well caught by Ian Smith. That's a tremendous effort by Richard Hadlee. And Richard Hadlee is taking 6 wickets against England for the 3rd time.
Yes, a magnificent performance once again from Richard Hadlee. For the 3rd time, 6 wickets against England. The last one going down to him there in that total of 307. The bowling figures bearing out what a marvellous job he's done. 37.5 overs, 11 maidens, 6 for 80, and great support from young Willie Watson, making his debut here in Test cricket. A very nerve-wracking business. Good support all the way through for Richard Hadlee and for the acting captain John Wright. 2 for 70 from 30 overs and 7 maidens. So a fine performance from the New Zealanders there, able to demolish England in the end after England had made such a good start at the beginning of the match, having won the toss. Well, problems for England were compounded by the fact that Bruce French was hit by Richard Hadlee. The news from the dressing room was that he was okay, but he'd had a couple of stitches in a cut on the back of his head, and he wouldn't be keeping wicket. In fact, Bill Athey was given the gloves, and here he is coming out now with the England side, led by Mike Gatting. We pick up play in the 2nd over of the New Zealand innings. Foster is the bowler, 1 run added, and that is a Dilley no ball.
Neil Foster then from the nursery end to Bruce Edgar. Oh, well taken, Bill Athey. And that was a wide. Well, this is a nasty one. That's a wide. And look at that lovely take by Bill Athey. Well, there's a remarkable sight. That's Bob Taylor, the former England wicketkeeper, rushing out to the rescue of his country yet again. His last Test match was in Lahore, the 24th of March. That was in 1984. And that really is an extraordinary sight. Bob Taylor, whose job at Test matches really is to work with the Cornhill Insurance Company, looking after their guests. There are many guests who come to enjoy the day out. And I just wonder where he was when he got the call. He might well have been enjoying a good lunch. And in this connection, we ought to mention the sporting gesture of Jeremy Coney, the New Zealand captain, who gave the OK when Mike Gatting asked if Bob Taylor should stand in for the injured Bruce French. And if anyone else gets injured out there, Ted Dexter will be called upon to take the field. Graham Dilley, who comes in to bowl to John Wright.
Just inside edge, back onto the stumps. Nothing surprising about that in view of all the things that have been happening here at Lord's since lunchtime. Just a perfectly normal dismissal.
So John Wright, normally the safest of openers. I don't know whether he was bemused by the wicket-keeping changes. His concentration diminished, but he wound up half playing at that ball, half playing, half leaving. Eventually the ball just cannoned into the inside edge and onto the leg stump.
And to join Bruce Edgar, we're going to have Ken Rutherford. 0-0-0. Not so good so far for New Zealand, although there are 2 on the board by way of extras. And second go. Rutherford's gone. Now that is disastrous for New Zealand. Dilly has struck twice, once inside edge of Wright's bat onto the leg stump when he was trying to pull the bat away. And now Rutherford, outside edge, caught Gooch, bowled Dilly.
So well bowled Graham Dilly and well juggled Graham Gooch. Graham Dilly getting his away swing absolutely in the right spot. Now Martin Crowe.
Tic-tac men on the balcony having a field day. Bob Taylor is 45 years of age. Probably made him feel as though he was 55.
Well, there's one thing, Richie, they haven't gone down against his name. A really wild delivery from Neil Foster.
It's one of the more extraordinary little sessions of play I've been mixed up in for many, many years. There is the card, 0-0-0-0. 9 extras, total 9 for 2. And a 45-year-old wicketkeeper standing at the pavilion end, who wasn't actually in the England squad.
Neil Radford is to be the new bowler. Handsome stroke. Unmistakably, Martin Crowe loves to stand up into those drives.
Very much the hallmark of Martin Crowe's play. The straight drive, that one just going on the onside of the stumps.
Well, beautifully played. Radford just straying in line, and an expert nudge from Martin Crowe.
Graham Dilly is placed very wide at long leg. Martin Crowe able to get that one fine, and it races away to the fence.
4 more overs were bowled up to the tea interval, but only 4 runs added to take the score up to 30 for 2. Martin Crowe already showing some good form and playing 1 or 2 handsome strokes to be 15 not out. Well, during the tea interval, the players had the honour of being presented to Her Majesty the Queen. One man well enough to be out there for that very pleasurable moment was Bruce French, and one man who I'll bet anything didn't believe he would ever go through this moment of pleasure again was Bob Taylor.
Alan Whitehead, one of the umpires, and a man who meets his queen, I think, for the 2nd time in several days, because he went to the palace to receive the MBE on Tuesday. Dickie Bird.
Mike Gadding led the 2 teams in 3 cheers for Her Majesty. When the players came back on the field after the tea interval, Peter Willey was off, he sustained a knee injury, and Roland Butcher was fielding as substitute for him. We pick up the action now. The last ball of the 5th over, 8 runs have been added, and it's Graham Dilly coming in. Martin Crowe is taking strike. Beautiful timed stroke. I think on the replay, You might see there's almost no follow-through with that stroke. 42 for 2, 20 to Crow. The finest of contemporary batsmen. 7 to Bruce Edgar, one of the more stubborn. And 42 on the board for New Zealand. Edmonds to bowl. Take all that back. And the Royal Standard comes down to indicate Her Majesty the Queen has left this great ground. Marvellous thrill for all the players to be presented to her during the tea interval.
Neil Foster, the bowler from the pavilion end.
.50 up in 152 balls for New Zealand after a disastrous start where a string of noughts on the scorecard. Naught for Wright, naught for Rutherford. Edgar was not out, and so too Crow.
And it's still to be Edmonds from the nursery end. That's a good shot. Edgar's waited so patiently for the bad ball, and now when it's come, short outside off stick, he has just the right shot for it. Well stopped, sir. Is it a memory game, or is he really as fit as he looks?
Terrific work by the veteran Bob Taylor.
Not quite understood the point of Edmonds bowling over the wicket to the right-hander. Always seems to me to be a variation worth a try, but he's looking for a bit of bite in the bowler's rough outside Martin Crow's leg stump. But the only bite he gets, I'm afraid, is off the middle of the bat.
Yes, it's a surprising move by Phil Edmonds, Tony. Bowled so beautifully around the wicket in the Edgbaston Test match against the Indians.
That was the flighted ball from Phil Edmonds, but it was well read by Bruce Edgar. He used his feet. Didn't quite get the power into the stroke that he wanted, but still it was well placed. Well, he got his 4 in the end.
Radford to Edgar. Good work again by Philippe Edmonds. Neil Radford's got his line much better organised now, finding the edge of Bruce Edgar's bat. And another fine stop by the Middlesex left-arm spinner.
Oh, yes. Plays it on drive superbly. Very good example for all aspiring batsmen. As Martin Crowe goes to his 50, and he does earn the rich applause. Someone's prevailed upon Neil Radford now to put an extra man on the onside. The 3 there on the leg side now. Mid-on and mid-wicket and long leg. Oops, and that's the one he wanted, but it went quickly. That was a very good effort by Graham Gooch. Got a genuine edge. It flew away there.
So no luck for Neil Radford. Very fast flying edge past Graham Gooch. The second slip. The New Zealand 100 coming up. Graham Dilley.
And there is a half century for Bruce Edgar. Another delightful stroke. He's played a couple of on drives in the last 2 or 3 overs, which certainly give the indication that he's running properly into form. And that's it for the second day of this test match. Graham Dilley bowling the last ball of the day. Martin Crowe's 52 not out. Precisely the same score credited to Bruce Edgar.
Well, Bob, when you last played for England in Pakistan in '84, you must have felt you made your last contribution to the test match scene.
Well, I did, Peter, obviously. I mean, I retired 2 years ago and just happened to be here working for Cornhill when the call came out.
How did you get the call? Where were you?
I was having lunch with the Cornhill guests and the phone went, and Gordon Jenkins, in charge of the indoor school, he said, Mike Gatting wants a word with you. So I thought he wanted some wicket-keeping gloves for Bill Athy or...
But what a super gesture by Jeremy Coney.
Yeah, it's very good. I think it's a compliment to Jerry. He's a good sportsman, and because I don't think it's every captain would have agreed to it.
What about the kit? Have you got your own? How did you
yes, my gloves were in the car back at the hotel, and one of the fellas went back and got them out of the car, and I used Bruce's gloves to start with, and then got into my own.
Your own gloves, then?
Oh, yes, yes.
And do you negotiate a special daily fee for these appearances?
I haven't got around to that. I was just happy to get out there.
I'm sure he was delighted to be out there. One of nature's gentlemen, Bob Taylor. Although I must say that New Zealand captains have always been more accommodating than their Australians just across the water. The card at the close of play, 127 for 2. Each of those 2 men, Bruce Edgar and Martin Crowe, on 52, and 2 ducks there. John Wright and Ken Rutherford. You couldn't get away to a worse start than that. 127 for 2 at the close. I thought Graham Dilley bowled particularly well today. He's looking very, very good so far as the Tour of Australia is concerned. He's working up good pace and getting a lot of bounce. Neil Foster was accurate. Radford none for 24. Edmonds, I thought, bowled much better than that. 13 overs, none for 44. Gooch bowled 6 overs. And New Zealand at the close of play, but we were lucky to get away to a prompt start. Here now, with 3 runs added, is the 3rd ball of the 3rd over. Neil Foster is the bowler. Martin Crowe is taking strike. Oh, good shot and great fielding. Beautiful piece of work out there to cover by Moxon.
Great cricket here. Splendid stroke off the back foot and wonderful fielding by Martin Moxon. He's saved a certain 4 runs.
Bob Taylor is the man keeping wickets today. Not for long, though, but we understand that Bob Parks, the young Hampshire keeper, is hot-footing it or hot-rodding it on the way up the motorway, and that he's going to take Bob Taylor's place. Well, that's evaded Moxon. Won't quite get to the boundary, even though it's downhill all well. See a little touch of inexperience there, both from the fielder and from your commentator. Moxon allowed the ball to get away from him. It really does race away from the fielder. It's no good bending down to pick it up, because suddenly you find it's hitting the fence or the rope. Suddenly found himself a yard or so further than he really wanted to be.
Oh, and that could so easily have been out, going for a hook shot. That left leg just swirling around, catches the ball and could so easily have knocked it onto the stumps.
Well, Pritchard is on the field for Peter Willey. Bad luck for Peter Willey after the way he batted. He held together the middle of the order. Beautifully bowled by Foster. That did Martin Crowe down the hill.
Yeah, Foster starting to find his best line, definitely ran down the hill.
And Crowe's going to look for two. Very good running once again. These two have a good understanding. Up comes the 150 for New Zealand. Doing it well with the loss of just 2 wickets, both those men out for naught.
And a shade of disappointment here. As light rain is falling. We've had 45 minutes play. Uninterrupted so far. Nothing will interrupt Martin Crowe from picking up that short ball outside off stump. That was a handsome shot. Oh, yes. Perfectly controlled shot by Martin Crowe. Yes, well done, Martin Moxon. That ball does run quickly down the hill there towards the tavern.
Although Gooch is wide, the ball going in the air through the non-existent slip field for 4 runs.
Beautiful stroke. The outfield was just slow enough that they got 3 runs. But it was perfectly timed by Martin Crowe. That's gone to the furthest part of the ground.
So the expected break for Neil Foster brings the left arm spin of Philippe Edmonds into the attack for England.
And runs straight away for Bruce Edgar. Three of them. Bob Taylor has gone off the field, and Bob Parks is the New England wicketkeeper.
And change of bowling at Pavilion End. Neil Radford now replaces Graham Dilley.
A beautiful stroke from Martin Crowe. Dilley racing away to the boundary to take him on now to 96. Glorious shot from the right-hander.
And virtually all the memorable strokes this morning have come from the blade of Martin Crowe.
And once again, he showed that he's one of the more exciting young players in the world today. There were 2 more overs bowled up to lunch. 4 runs were accrued in that time. 3 of those went to Martin Crowe, who moved along to 99. That's a nice way to have lunch. 193 for 2 for New Zealand at lunch on the 3rd day. And the bowling figures, Dilley was outstanding once again, 2 for 43 from 21 overs. My word, he's bowling well at the moment. And Edmonds bowled much better than those figures suggest. 15 overs, 1 maiden, none for 49. The position at lunch was that New Zealand, with 8 wickets in hand, were 114 runs in arrears. So Martin Crowe was on 99. Here he is now, facing the fourth ball of the first over after lunch. Bowling at him is Philippe Edmonds.
That's it. Martin Crowe, a marvellous 100. Greatly appreciated by his teammates. A century of 219 balls. He hit 11 fours. And that's his fifth Test 100. No better feeling. Packed house at Lord's. And a century against England. So it's time to look for a record. The previous record, 191 for the third wicket. 190 rather, the third wicket. Yes, and there it is, a nice moment for Martin Crowe and for Bruce Edgar, who have beaten the third wicket record partnership for New Zealand against England, once held by Condon and Hastings.
Graham Gooch coming in from the pavilion end.
It wasn't a bad shout.
So Bruce Edgar getting right across his front leg there. And the ball looked like it was hitting Mayor pitch just outside leg.
Well caught. That really was a good catch. Caught catting Bo Gooch, and Bruce Edgar goes.
Mike Gettings had to react very quickly there. And our feeling up here that it was right to keep Gooch on. I don't know who he was thumbing his nose to. I hope it wasn't to us. We suggested he should stay on. We didn't say he should come off. And we also suggested that he might be the one to trouble Mr. Edgar. So he did eventually. Sort of half push, half cut. That was the trouble with that stroke. That's why it took the edge.
And Jeremy Coney was due to come in next, the New Zealand captain, but he injured his side and couldn't complete the fielding session. John Wright captained, and in fact he's been replaced in the batting order. This is Jeff Crowe.
Well, Edmonds has got the breakthrough from almost a nothing delivery. It was short enough for Martin Crowe to come back and push. Now the break has been made. Caught and bowled Edmonds for 106, 247 balls. It's a lovely innings, but my word, he'd be cranky about that.
And now this record partnership, New Zealand's, is broken. With the really short ball, it did just turn. Martin Crowe might have been thinking of knocking it on the side, and as it turned, he finished up just pushing it straight back to Phil Edmonds.
Got it. So it's 218 for 4 now. 106 to Crowe and 83 to Edgar. 2 ducks, and Jeff Crowe joined now by Jeremy Kearney. That was the last ball of Edmonds over.
Certainly Dilly being brought on in place of Gooch. You usually get the right answer as a captain if you think of of what the opposing player or players would least like to happen. And that's why I felt that Coney was very happy down there, just playing an over from Gooch, and he will be less happy now having to face Dilley.
That was very close. Looked as though Coney got his bat caught up in his pad there. .74 runs behind New Zealand. Now Coney and Jeff Crowe have to get over the second new ball, which has just been taken by Graham Dilley. The match is fielded well and bowled such a good spell, the captain had to abandon plans immediately to take the second new ball and to leave him on. Now another save.
We saw Neil Foster operating this morning. He had an 11-over spell, 2 very defensive fields indeed. But England have now got those 2 breakthroughs.
That was well bowled by Neil Foster. The late movement of the pitch. It was wide, but it was worth the dart at it as far as Coney was concerned. And again, no third man down there. It's the chance that Gatting's taking, keeping the 3 slips up. Oops, that's the one that got away. Four byes. Player with a few frills, not the wide range of strokes which Brother Martin has. Not quite the average, but very effective player.
That'll help. Just needs a little tickle. And the 250 up for New Zealand.
Occasionally Neil Foster drags one down outside off stump. And Jeremy Coney's proved already that he's a strong player off the back foot against the seam bowlers. Got off the mark this way in this particular innings.
And Neil Radford's first real opportunity with a newish ball in this match. Only 8 overs old. Graham Dilley bowled several warm-up overs with the old ball while Edmonds was operating so well. So a good chance for Radford.
Super shot. Amazing game, isn't it? Jeff Crowe so stiff and stodgy and defensive. Suddenly unleashes a corking shot.
2 more overs bowled up to tee, 7 runs added to take the total along to 272 for 4. Jeff Crowe 16 and Jeremy Coney batting quite delightfully on 34. Here's the 4th ball of the 3rd over after the tea interval. Philip Edmonds is the bowler and Jeff Crowe is taking strike. Batsman's gone. Edmonds got it to turn and it might just have flicked the wicket-keeper's glove. You probably need to see that on replay. Bobby Parks may have helped it on to Mike Gatting. A very sharp catch.
And the second brilliant reaction catch from Mike Gatting. Those are the most difficult of all. Instinctive left hand, and there it is.
Great piece of fielding, and it gives Phil Edmonds his 100th wicket in Test cricket, his 39th Test match.
Just imagine how much time Mike Gatting had to see that ball. Brilliant.
Evan Gray is the new batsman. He didn't muck around with that. Doesn't know that that was all that bad a ball. He dispatched it very smartly.
How do I get a wicket? Neil Radford asked himself, and he certainly deserved one here. Ball nipping back off the seam and just going over the top of the off stump.
Beautiful shot. Short arm jab and pulled away brilliantly by Kearney. Is out of deep mid-wicket, but the ball has gone to deep square. Half century up for Jeremy Kearney. Nice moment for him, and he's played extremely well. In all honesty, we can say that was planned. It was a marvellous catch, mind you. Graham Gooch at forward square leg, and Kearney gave it a terrific belt and hooked it down as well. Radford takes the wicket. Not with the man out at deep mid-wicket, but the one fielding in the orthodox position near the umpire. Kearney is gone.
A very well deserved wicket for Radford. Not sure about the style of the dismissal. Jeremy Kearney won't be very happy about that. He fell into the trap. Graham Gooch had moved over from the offside to that position a couple of balls before the end of the last over. But a valuable innings from the New Zealand captain. Kearney very much on the back foot. Straight at Gooch, but plenty of power in the stroke, and it took some catching.
This is Richard Hadley's first innings for New Zealand on this current tour.
Edmonds coming in over the wicket to the left-hander.
Pass well fielded. Graham Dilley at mid-wicket. New Zealand dressing room, pensive mood. Glenn Turner, the assistant manager there. New Zealand's 300 comes up. For those of you who like the details, it's come off 743 balls. Now he gets one away. Phil Edmonds, prompted by some little gremlin in the mind, to hurry that one through outside off stump. And instead of giving Evan Gray that awful problem on the front foot, just let him off the hook there and landed him an easy square cut. To change bowling from the pavilion end, Graham Dilley comes back, replacing Neil Radford. Richard Hadley is the batsman. Well, that's well timed. That's the applause. The first innings lead goes to New Zealand with 4 wickets in hand, a healthy position for them. They're claiming it, and up goes the left hand of the umpire. Extraordinary, like the dismissal of Wayne Phillips in that Edgbaston Test match. And the Australians, when it ricocheted off Lamb's foot then to Gower. Just look at this. Martin Moxon takes the blow on the ankle. And the ball lobs to Gower. They'll all say, my word, there we go, you get some easy catches in your time. Let's have one more look. Extraordinary. It was a well-punched shot by Evan Gray. And here comes the flick drive. That was the catch and the appeal. New batsman is Ian Smith.
Well, Bob Willis was saying earlier, don't give Hadley any room outside the off stump, tuck him up. The short ball was just wide enough and perfect for the Hadley slash. Whack.
Edmonds and Dilley have been the stars of the England bowling. Here's Dilley now. Just D-starred him.
And New Zealander Smith starting to really find his timing here. You just see he just let that come neatly onto the face of the bat and fair flew away down the hill.
It was well taken, didn't get up very much. Bobby Parks was down there very quickly waiting for it.
Very close to the edge. Those are the ones that do find the edge, the ones that hurry through. And good wicket keeping.
And that's good bowling. Quicker ball. Lovely deceptive flight by Edmonds. He's bowled some good slower balls today. That was a quicker one that beat Hadley. Well, not even on the backstroke, probably on the indeterminate stroke.
Yes, that's turned quite sharply too.
And John Bracewell comes out now. The man who defied Australia's bowlers in Sydney. Smith facing Dilley. What a catch. It's Edmonds' day. No question about that. That was a full-blooded square cut by Ian Smith. Edmonds took it away to his right-hand side. Dilley has another wicket. Those two men have combined very well to bowl splendidly for England today. Edmonds has helped Dilley to his third wicket.
Well, a change of angle. It certainly worked because that one was banged in short. And this very slender chance of a full-blooded cut is plucked out of the air by Edmonds.
Yes, a great effort by Edmonds there at Gully. And 3 more overs were bowled with 2 runs made to take the score along at the close of play. to 342 for 9. Bracewell 1 not out, and Watson 1 not out. The bowling figures for England: Dilley and Edmonds outstanding. Dilley 35 overs, 9 maidens, 3 for 82, and Edmonds 42 overs, 10 maidens, 4 for 97, with a wicket to Radford and 1 also to Graham Gooch. The statistics at Bruce French, the man who is at the centre of a lot of discussion over the weekend about the substitution of wicket keepers, came out onto the field for England today. So too did Peter Willey. It wasn't for very long because the whole thing only lasted 1 ball. Graham Dilley, who thoroughly deserved 4 wickets, finished up having Willie Watson LBW for the very first ball of the day. So there was dismay for Willie Watson, pleasure for Graham Dilley, and the card at the close showed absolutely no change from when the players had walked out onto the ground. 342, Willie Watson LBW bowled Dilley for 1, and the not-out batsman John Bracewell on 1. I wonder how long it is, if ever, since an England wicket-keeper, or one from any country for that matter, has been on the field throughout an innings for just 1 ball. Very, very interesting question for you to win some money on. So the card for New Zealand, 342, and the bowling figures for England show that Dilley picked up 4 wickets to match Edmonds. They both thoroughly deserved their success there. They were the 2 outstanding performers on Saturday. And the match situation, as England were preparing to come out to bat, was that New Zealand were 35 runs ahead. Now, that is going to be a very interesting situation so far as the Englishmen are concerned, because going back to the Test match here against India, it was in the second innings that the England batting failed, and they had to come up against Richard Hadlee out there this morning, bowling with a new ball on a pitch that was very good for batting, but still had just a little bit of life in it. Here's the 5th ball of the 3rd over. 6 runs are on the board. It is Hadlee coming in. Graham Gooch is taking strike.
Well, he's obviously landing comfortably enough now. Richard Hadlee, tremendous ball that.
Well, he's turned Graham Gooch right round there. He's wound up with shoulders facing straight up the pitch, and this beautiful ball cutting away. Marvellous piece of bowling.
And that one took off from similar length to beautiful length. Great model to all young fast bowlers watching. That's it. Great merit of the ball, well up to the bat. Martin Moxon has gone. Beautiful bowling by Richard Hadlee. Very confident appeal. Less emphatic than usual, but Dickie Bird had no hesitation there at all.
Well, this is well up. It looked as though it was going to go down the leg side, but it swung and got right under Martin Moxon's feet.
And that's Bill Athey.
Bill Athey.
Just that late swing which straightened the ball. Caught Martin Moxon, I think, on the back pad. LBW bowled Hadlee for 5, so England are 9 for 1 and still behind. Last ball of the over that, so now it's Willie Watson to bowl to Graham Gooch. Oh, that's a beautiful shot. Though Graham Gooch has been struggling through mediocre form lately, that's the one shot he still plays quite brilliantly. Ball pitched well up on leg stump.
Really whistled away down the ground.
A little bit of in-swing, and Gooch has just cracked it straight back where it came from.
2 runs behind as Hadlee comes in again from the pavilion end. Wasn't sure that it actually carried to short leg. It didn't look to me as though it quite reached him. Shouts for that catch came from the slip area. Down it goes. No, Hadley, I think, has justification not to be happy with that. It was as straightforward as any slip catch can be. Would have been a great breakthrough.
Well, Ian Smith has impressed me as keeping especially well this season, and that's the first major mistake I've seen him make. And that could be very costly for New Zealand.
Very, very nasty delivery, that last one. Just cancelled at Ian Smith. That's the one that whistled past Athey.
So Athey drawn into the shot again, the ball ripping away from him up the slope. So another sort of knife edge over for the batsman. But again, Athey has survived.
Always a certain amount of apprehension in the batsman's mind when he's up against a great bowler. Beautiful. Good reply.
It's an excellent hook shot from Bill Athey. His thoughts, like everybody, be moving forward to the Australia tour this winter. Jeremy Coney tried his part-time seamers, himself and Martin Crowe, in the first innings, but they helped to get England on their way. He's trying to block up the end which Hadley isn't bowling from, and leaving their supreme bowler to do most of the attacking work on his own.
There's a great stroke. For some reason, Hadley's got those two men much wider today. The one who was pretty much at mid-off in the first innings is now at extra cover. There's two cracking strokes in this over. This is Hadley's 8th over on the trot.
Graham Gooch has had some problems with his offside strokes this season. No problem with that one. And the England 50 coming up in 87 balls. Evan Gray is bowling to a very defensive field from the nursery end. So it's very much a holding operation from the nursery end as Hadley attacks from the pavilion end. Evan Gray taking a lesson from Phil Edmonds' book. Great fielding off his own bowling.
Hadley, in fact, has finished his spell now. 8 overs, 1 maiden, 1 for 35. Good attacking spell, but good cricket too from Graham Gooch. He's got on to 35 now, and he hasn't actually pushed Hadley out of the attack, but made certain that he took as much of him as possible. Made some good strokes towards the end, and now it's to be Martin Crowe.
Well, if no one else has got the message, I think Martin Crowe has. Bowler bouncer to Gooch at that speed, that medium speed. Really asking for trouble. And with that 4, the 50 partnership between Gooch and Athey comes up in 80 balls. That's his great strength. Graham Gooch has battled with his technique right throughout this season, and part of the trouble is he gets onto the front foot, lifts his back and pirouettes.
Evan Gray is going to bowl, left arm Round the wicket spin.
Bowled him. Well, Bill Athey breaks the rule for sweeping. Always taught to keep the front leg in line with the ball, but this time he's inside the line, misses the ball, loses leg stump.
And Bill Athey will be livid with himself. Didn't cover the leg stump with the front pad. You can see it there exposed all the while. And England can ill afford to lose a wicket at this stage. 68 for 2 now. And a disappointing end to Bill Athey's contribution.
That's a useful blow for New Zealand, Bob. They really fiddled a wicket out there, did they not?
Absolutely, Tony. I think they're looking on any wicket that Richard Hadlee doesn't get as a bit of a bonus.
And there's much more chance of Gray getting some turn now to the left-hander from that rough ground just outside off stump, and so he does. John White is the fielder at mid-on. Martin Crowe gets away with a blatant full toss on leg stump.
And the New Zealand fielding been one of the features of the morning's play. They've run and dived for everything.
Yes, and by so doing, they've made certain they've backed up some excellent bowling out there this morning. There was just one more run scored over the next 4 overs up to lunch to take it along to 72 for 2 with Gooch 47 and Gower 3. Bowling figures, I thought Richard Hadlee bowled remarkably well again. This morning, 8 overs, 1 maiden, 1 for 35. Had all the batsmen in trouble. Gooch took to him just a little bit. It was a marvellous battle out there. And Evan Gray, 8 overs, 4 maidens, 1 for 6. You don't find too many bowlers able to have the luxury of figures like that at the home of cricket. So at lunchtime on the 4th day, it was England 307 and 72 for 2. New Zealand 342. England 37 runs ahead with 8 wickets in hand in their second innings. Well, after lunch, when England really had to make certain they didn't lose any more wickets, John Bracewell finished off the 3 balls he had to bowl to complete the over from the pavilion end. Here's the first over after the interval, bowled from the nursery end. Evan Gray, the left-arm spinner, is the bowler. It's the 5th ball, and he's bowling to David Gower. Oh, that's beautifully bowled by Evan Gray. Completely deceived Gower in the flight. That's what did him. Started off down the track to drive, was beaten in the flight, changed to a defensive stroke, and then was bowled. Beautiful bowling. Mike Gatting, the skipper. Peter Willey, who has been out of action for part of this match because of being struck on the knee by Willie Watson and then aggravating it with a dive in the gully. And now it's going to be Richard Hadlee. Nasty way for a start for 3 runs if Gooch wants to come back. He's quite happy with the 2. Willie Watson, man backing up, and John Bracewell, the fielder. For the right-hander, there's 2 steps gully, cover point. Then there's a man up mid-off and a wideish mid-on. There's no big swing of the bat about that. But the timing was absolutely superb. There's his 50, 85 balls and 7 boundaries. It's Evan Gray now bowling to Gatting. Would have been very unlucky had that ball flown another yard. It came off the pad and then onto Gatting's glove. Not far away from Kearney. And here's Hadley. Gooch is taking strike. That's well bowled. Oh, dear me.
This has to be very close indeed. Seemed to hit Gatting right on the toe end.
Oh, and that was very, very close and very well handled. Wonderful ball. Came nipping back down the hill. As I spoke, he's pushed that left leg in there at the last second.
Good shot for 3.
Strong southwesterly winds.
Clever piece of work there by Mike Gatting. Straighter ball, and he's cut it away, and the way it's running, it's so nearly, and yes it is, 4. Just rolled up against the ropes.
So the skipper, Jeremy Coney, reopens negotiations with his off-spinner, John Bracewell. Natural end from which to bowl for John Bracewell, the pavilion end. Richard Hadley goes off with figures of 14 overs, 1 for 47. And Gooch breaks with convention. Superb example of how a batsman tries to dominate before the bowler settles. Plenty of space in the outbacks there. So now Gatting decides to make his move. There is a fascinating sequence of cricket at both ends of the pitch at the moment.
And Mike Gatting's given himself a lot of room there. Didn't get very close to the pitch of that, but he's got a very good, clean, straight swing of the bat, and he collected it.
And the 100 came up then for England. 248 balls. So Evan Gray goes away with odd question buzzing in his head there. But it really is fascinating cricket to see 2 good spinners. Gray bowling very tightly indeed. 2 class players trying to break out, both hitting over the top. Neither spinner putting a man back to block it, saying, OK, try once, have another go if you like. Oh, there it goes, and that's why Bracewell refused to put a man out there, because he invited the miss hit. And Graham Gooch is very lucky that that didn't carry to deepish and straight mid-wicket. There's no man right back there. It went with the spin. Very profitable corner that off Gray, just slanting the ball across the batsman, and if they can run it off the open face back there. Now they put a man there for Gatting but not for Gooch, and that's why Gooch gets 3. I thought it looked as if batsmen had been offered the light and said they'd stay on. Now they're offered again.
Well, off they went and took an early tee. They did come back after tea, but not a ball was bowled. The umpires had the light meters out again. Light had deteriorated. They went off the field, and despite quite a number of inspections and holding out of light meters at great length, they couldn't get back on the field. Always very sad that, because there was a decent crowd here at Lord's. They were watching a very, very good contest, with England finishing up at the close of play with 110 for 3 in their second innings. Gatting was playing some pleasing strokes for 21 not out, and Gooch getting back to his best form, unbeaten on 64. New Zealand bowling figures: very fine effort from Evan Gray, 18.5 overs, 9 maidens, 2 for 25, and Hadley at his best to Graham Gooch. There's a good start for Graham Gooch. The ball racing down the hill there. You wouldn't think been a lot of rain here overnight. Now Evan Gray coming in from the nursery end, bowling to Gooch. Oh, there's a shout there. They're all asking a reaction from umpire Whitehead.
But he's drawn Gooch into a stroke here. Now, really no need to play this at all, but he does, puts his leg out there, and if he had got a little inside edge, that would have been out, but he didn't. So the last ball of the last over came down the hill. This one's come even further, from short of a length. Gooch has gone well forward to counter that movement, and he's done that. The ball's just got into the top roll of the pad, too high. No appeal.
Ball there. That's what he was waiting for, having got down the track.
He's just caused a few problems. They're trying to get after him without any great success. At the same time, I think Mike Gatting is right to have a go, because while those close fielders are either side, if you're just a bit unlucky, however well you play, you might just bob one up there. And if he can spread the field out, he'll do himself a favour.
Word from Hadley now to umpire Bird about the ball, saying it's gone out of shape. Umpire Bird is suggesting that another couple of shots from Gooch might put it back into shape.
If they make a change, it will have to be for a ball of similar age. Oops, that stayed low, came back. Perhaps that hit the flat side of the ball. Certainly stayed very low.
Slower ball, and the slip from Willie Watson at mid-on probably made no difference. The ball was timed so well. That's the sort of thing Gray is looking for.
This ball pitching well wide, but it's turned out of the rough, and Mike Gatting just getting enough leg there.
Not quite there, and that's out. never go to the pitch of the ball. Unfortunately, Mike Gatting, and a very good catch for Crowe, and just reward for Evan Gray, who has been persistence itself.
So after a confident start, a slightly sort of edgy performance by Mike Gatting, and this is how he was out. He's just picked out the fielder. Well, each time he'd slightly overpowered the shot with his right hand, a slight mistiming, and it had fallen safe, just crashed it along the ground. This time it got airborne, but not off the middle of the bat.
Peter Willey is the new batsman. Four runs.
Graham Gooch picking out the length of that one. Now that didn't pitch outside leg, pitched on.
Well, that one hopped. And what did it hit? But runs were given, so Peter Willey gets away with a chance there. The ball flying between the gully and the slip fielder. Yes, full toss. Thank you very much. Almost pulls up. And the 150 is up. So at the pavilion end now, a change of bowling. That's John Bracewell. So Richard Hadley comes off. It's the first bowling change of the morning. It's a good shot.
Not a problem for Peter Willey with the two-shouldered stance. Still able to get his offside strokes working pretty well. Keeper of the shot. 3 men there trying to cut off that stroke.
Gooch hasn't got much room for manoeuvre on the onside. He has to play the ball virtually along the ground, and none of the three fielders stationed for a mistake on the onside moved.
Now Evan Gray coming in from the nursery end, bowling to Gooch, and Gooch is on 99. And there it is. A neat little turn to the onside. 100 for Graham Gooch, and one of the very good innings he's played for England. Couldn't have been more timely. It's his 7th Test 100, first against New Zealand. The 3rd time he's reached 3 figures at Lord's. 234 balls and 12 fours. Very good statistics those for Graham Gooch, and just 4 more runs added from 7 overs up to lunch to take it along to 181 for 4. Gooch 104, very fine innings. Gatting stuck with him there and did a good job for his 26. And Peter Willey, a very strong performance from him after a slightly nervous start, and he was able to keep at bay the main bowlers. Evan Gray 3 for 55 and Richard Hadley 1 for 61. The statistics at that time showed that England had a lead of 146 and they had 6 wickets still in hand. The second new ball was due immediately after lunch, but Richard Hadley obviously was the one to take it. Willie Watson had to bowl 1 over from the nursery end before Hadley could get his hands on it. Here's the first ball of that Watson over, and he's bowling to Willie.
That's a very nice start for Peter Willey.
And a very gentle start from Watson. Peter Willey having all the time in the world to pick his spot there and just quietly smack it through the offside field for 4.
Very good fielding effort. One of those crushing square drives from Graham Gooch with a big heavy bat. And Evan Gray there to his wrong hand, his right hand, was very quickly down, got a good half stop.
I suppose by their very high standards one has to call that a half chance. Just carrying to Gray's outstretched hand, but would have been a miracle catch.
And there goes the signal to the scorers. New ball. And there's no doubt that New Zealand will set more attacking field now. Richard Hadley from the pavilion end. That's in the air. And bounces. That was well bowled by Hadley. Gooch played that hook shot not under control. It was a short arm hook shot, and a top edge went straight up. Well, what else can Richard Hadley do? That's beautiful bowling. Fast leg break. No way that Graham Gooch could have touched that, but always the hope of a snick for the New Zealand slips there. Four runs to Gooch, and the 200 comes up for England. That's perfectly controlled and beautifully played by Graham Gooch. And this time, it's the batsman who's on top.
That's a hammer away through cover point.
England players sensing safety now.
Great shot. This won't do Peter Will any harm at all. He'll be looking ahead to Australia, and it'll catch the selector's eye, or eyes as well.
We've enjoyed all 4 seasons in the last 24 hours at Lord's. Heavy rain last evening, but now the ground bathed in sunshine. A bowling change at the nursery end. Willie Watson making way for the left arm spin of Evan Gray.
Other than glorious strokes like that from Graham Gooch, we've moved along now to 128.
Well, beautiful balance there from Graham Gooch. He's stayed right on balance, swung the bat and crashed it through.
Good shot for 4. Glorious stroke. Beaten Hadley at deep backward square. Now England recognise the fact that they're safe from the possibility of defeat, and the strokes are starting to float.
Willie Watson being given an opportunity from the pavilion end.
Glorious stroke. Been some marvellous shots from Graham Gooch today, but none better than that one. And 150 now for Graham Gooch. Very good innings. Official notification from the men above that scoreboard.
Evan Gray changes to around the wicket now, at the bowl to Graham Gooch. Tremendous blow. One bounce, 4 runs. Gooch has been very patient right through this long innings. Only occasionally has he leapt out to dominate the bowling. Oh. I guess he feels the match is safe. John Bracewell from the pavilion end.
And everybody talks about Willie's unorthodox stance at the wicket. Fair enough. But you won't see a more orthodox or more sort of elegant or more comfortable grip. And it hasn't saved him, unfortunately. Now, was it his good grip or his bad stance that was responsible for that? I do hope we didn't talk him out. I don't think we did. He can't hear us. Don't think we have that sort of Machiavellian influence, but it just so happens that Bracewell, with a well pitched up and flighted ball, has got Willie playing right across a half volley, and it's hit him, it's hit the leg stump. It's just played all round it.
Peter Willey bowled Bracewell 42. Partnership of 126 with Graham Gooch. So Peter Willey goes, and in comes Philip Edmonds. Perfectly good shot, cleanly hit, and quite appropriate too. Phil Edmonds down the track and lofting the ball over the infield. Ken Rutherford is the bowler from the nursery end. Not a regular bowler, but he does have one test match wicket. Superb cover drive. Just the one wicket for John Bracewell. He's bowled 21 overs in this innings. And now he's about to bowl just after tea from the pavilion end to Edmonds.
Phil Edmonds, very risky sweep. That's a very straight ball from Bracewell. Must have been lucky to survive that LBW appeal.
Oh, that's a beautiful shot. Carved beautifully over extra cover by Graham Gooch. And he's just reached the stage of his innings where he can relax now after tea. The match well saved, and treat us to some of the glorious shots. Four runs. Another 4 runs. I think he was aiming for 6 over mid-wicket. Didn't quite get the full swing of the bat there. That's the third successive attacking stroke by Graham Gooch. Down the pitch, he really is attacking John Bracewell. 4, 4 and 3.
And Graham Gooch's 179 not out is the highest score for England against New Zealand at Lord's.
Dropped him. Martin Crowe's held on to many good catches in this match. Just annoyed with himself there, dropped a very difficult chance from Graham Gooch. Four runs, and Phil Edmonds copying the style of Gooch. And both these England batsmen enjoying themselves now. Not so enjoyable for John Bracewell.
Willie Watson, safely taken. Away down at long off, and was well bowled by John Bracewell. He beat Gooch in the flight. And it may well be now there's a declaration with England skipper Mike Gatting seeking to apply some psychological pressure to the New Zealand batsman. Graham Gooch, 183 before he was caught by Willie Watson of John Bracewell's bowling. 369 balls, 442 minutes. That declaration was purely psychological so far as Mike Gatting was concerned, but a very good one because it gives his bowlers the opportunity to have another little dash at the New Zealanders. A fine innings from Graham Gooch, 183. Willie, 42. I thought he did very well indeed following his 44 in the first innings. That'll do him no harm at all in the eyes of the selectors when they settle down to make their deliberations for the Australian tour. 295 for 6 declared, a great fight back by England. The bowling figures, well, Evan Gray was the outstanding bowler, 3 for 83 from 46 overs and 14 maidens. John Bracewell, 23.4 overs, didn't bowl quite as much as I thought he might out there. 7 maidens, 2 for 57, and Richard Hadley, 1 for 78. Well, he deserved much better figures than that. Bowled really well once again, and that is purely academic, that England had a lead of 260 runs. There was no chance of a result, but in fact England were able to come up with 2 wickets. They got Edgar and Wright to 2 beautiful catches from David Gower, the wicket going to Foster and the other one to Graham Dilley.
That's a great boost for Neil Foster. He looked like ending this test match wicketless, but he's struck already. Only 3 balls needed to dismiss Bruce Edgar. It wasn't the greatest ball, very wide, but a brilliant catch from Gower.
It's got him. Another brilliant catch by David Gower. Very well bowled by Graham Dilley. Dug it in, got some surprising lift. Astonished John Wright. A second brilliant catch, and poor John Wright departs for a pair in this Lord's Test match.
And Graham Dilley, just like Richard Hadley, has been able to extract life from this Lord's pitch. That one flies off the edge of the bat. Another fine catch by David Gower.
Tremendous performance from David Gower there to hang on to those 2 catches, and it won't do his confidence any harm at all either. And a little later, Gower, in fact, was to be seen in another role, starring as a bowler and almost as a wicket-taker, with Mike Gatting, the skipper, not quite able to get his hands onto this catch. Oh, and no wonder Gower is shaking his head. His captain has put down a chance off his bowling.
Complete miscue, and actually the captain's done quite well to reach as far as that. He did get a hand under.
Although in later years that will look as though there might have been a tremor or 2 at the top of the order. with Edgar making naught and Wright also failing to get off the mark. In fact, it was purely an exercise in psychology by England, and quite a successful one too. Rutherford 24 not out, he got off the mark in the second innings, and the bowling figures, Foster 1 for 13 and Dilley 1 for 5. This match at Lord's, the first Cornhill Test match of the series, finished drawn. England 307 and 295 for 6 declared. New Zealand 342 and 41 for 2 in a short time of batting in their second innings. Well, in a way that was disappointing. All drawn matches are disappointing, but we did have the pleasure of seeing Tony Lewis, the man of the match adjudicator, make the presentation to the man he nominated, Graham Gooch. He had 3 men in mind: Richard Hadlee,